All right, everyone. We had a Nintendo Direct today, and we got ourselves another look at Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave. I had a feeling going into this that we would get another look because the last time we saw this game was at the last Nintendo Direct, I believe, which was, I think, in like October last year, if I remember correctly. I've got all dates mixed up, so don't rely on me for that. I just had a feeling they had to show it off at least one more time since they had said it was a 2026 release date that they're shooting for. And right out the gate, that is the first thing I could definitely say, which is nice from this trailer, is that right at the end, we got a confirmation of a September 17th, 2026 release date, which is a little further than I thought, but also kind of fine by me because there are so many other things going on in the gaming world that trying to keep up with all this in such a small time frame would not be fun. Anyway, I want to go and give this trailer a pseudo breakdown of some kind because there are things I noticed that I want to like talk about and speculate on some things about what's gonna happen in the game, things we can expect for mechanics and story-wise. But I mainly want to do some more rambling, similar to what I did with the God of War Laufey trailer, because I know there are a lot of other people out there that are gonna do some better coverage of the trailer and all its details, and I don't have quite the same amount of time to dive into everything. There are still some things that I picked out on a couple viewings of this trailer throughout the day. Right off the bat, the first thing that I find super cool that we had confirmed is that this game does take place in Dagda, same place as the home of Shamir from Three Houses. So now we can put to rest any sort of theories on whether we're going to be in Elmira or Bridget. No, we are confirmed to be in Dagda, which is super cool. So we're seeing that. That's super cool. They're developing this entire land that we've essentially known nothing about other than that Shamir's from there, and apparently coffee beans come from this place. But I'm excited to see all the world building that they're gonna do. What's cool is right here we see a green-haired and a red-haired individual. That seems like we're going back to the archetype of having the Cain and Abel, green and red cav units, perhaps. Of course, like we don't see them on calves in the arena here, but they'll probably get them later whenever you do recruit them, because there's no way these guys are not recruitable. What is very interesting is that we have the confirmation from here that this is another split story game, like Three Houses and like Fire Emblem Fates. We will be following these four main lords. We got Kai and Dietrich, Theodora, and Leda, which are all, I think, really cool looking characters. Honestly, I'd say not aside from Kai, but I'd say out of all of them, Kai is probably the least compelling, I'd say, right out the gate, because I wouldn't say he's not interesting. He has a lot going on for him at the moment. There's this red gem on his hand, and he seems to have these dark magical powers that are very mysterious that we're all going to be speculating about to no end. That's what has me interested in his character, but if I had a choice, he's not going to be my first. That's for sure. Theodora is very cool. They list her title as the Queen of Saramis, which I believe, I'm not sure can even be found when looking back on the map here. The geography of this whole continent kind of reminds me of Bodlin in a way. In terms of like its general shape and where these places are laid out, you got Kingdom of Arago up here at the top, Dagdan Empire on the right, and then you got the Kingdom of Resrant down at the south. It seems that we got things split again and have a central hub area right in the center. This feels similar. In Fodlan, you got Kingdom of Fargus, the Alliance, and the Empire, all convene the central point of Garreg Monastery. Now it seems like we're doing that rinse and repeat, which frankly I'm still down for. I think it all looks kind of cool, and I'm still trying to trust that there's going to be some good world building in this. But it's just the similarities here are fun to point out. But yeah, I cannot spot Kingdom of Saramis out here on the map. Then we got Leda here, musician out for revenge. I feel like she's gonna be, considering the fact she's listed as a musician and her character art has a guitar, that maybe she'll be something akin to Azura in some ways. She'll be like the dancer if you pick her route, that she can both make your units move again, have another action, but also actually throw some hands a little bit. But of course, I think pretty important to mention, very obvious, is for Kai. he's got red eyes here. But if you go and look back at his art when he's revealed here, he's got yellow eyes in his art and in the cutscene here. Something happens along the way in the story that changes his eye color from yellow to red. And maybe, I suspect, could have something to do with the magic that he throws out from his hand with this gem that's in there. Of course, coming up, you got Leda once again. And yeah, she mentioned that the one I seek to kill, I can't remember what she said specifically. I haven't watched the first trailer in a minute, but she said she seeks revenge on someone very bad. And I think right here is the mention of who that character is, as she says, moment Lechner steps off the beaten path, I'm gonna choke the life from him. And what's interesting here is that we see two characters standing beside her, this chick with gold hair and purple eyes, and then this one with darker skin, red hair and green eyes. I'm wondering if they are perhaps her retainers, if she is a royal. And the very next shot here, I bet this is like the rest of her crew or a set of characters that she met along the way on her quest, on latest quest. There's something to me that got the vibes of these four being similar to the Ashen Wolves from Three Houses. But I also kind of want to mention for a moment that this is where I feel that I'm not as sold on all these character designs. A lot of these designs feel very Engage adjacent. And for me, I do not like any of the character designs in Fire Emblem. I didn't like that game, period. I felt that the game went too far off the deep end in terms of its anime art style. Not that anime itself is bad, but in terms of its art style. And I felt that the characters weren't uniform with each other or felt like they truly belonged anywhere in the world. And I feel that a bit with some of these characters, as I've been watching these trailers, that everyone has very, very bright and vibrant costumes. I feel that with some of these, just these four right off the bat, that everyone has too many differing color palettes and actual designs in their clothes to make me feel that they all are either associated with each other, if they're supposed to be, I'd assume they are based on the shot here, or that they belong to certain lands in this world. I want character uniformity in its design, and I don't want it to be so in your face, bunch of colors, multi-designed everywhere. But moving on from that, we get this moment here in the trailer that had me pulling a Leo DiCaprio. There it is. When Dietrich here is talking about his sword, saying, "It is the legacy of my forebears, passed to me in Fodlan, a blade to smite the gods." It's our first official name drop for Fodlan in this universe, and telling us that it is the legacy of his forebears, hence having the crest of Lamine, which also probably flows through his blood, which continues to make us wonder, what is this guy's connection? So what makes this sword so cool is that this is now the second hero's relic that we know is tied to the Lamine bloodline. Now, while it is a bit more of a loose tie to pull from this, but the only other hero's relic that we know of that is a part of Lamine is the Icar scroll from Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Hopes. Now, right here in this shot, we get the biggest confirmation of anything for this game of all. Other people, I've seen a couple people cover it all already, but I'm gonna stay on this so that way I can stay consistent. But down at the bottom left, we get this look at this piece of UI here, but on the far left is what is the label for the calendar system. But just above that is a year, 1449. That is confirmation that this game is a sequel to Three Houses. In Three Houses, the game takes place in Imperial year 1180, and by the time of the time skip, it takes place in the year 1185, 5-year time skip. So we're now set almost 300 something years in the future. That is now confirmed. Without a doubt, everything we're seeing is in a post Fodlan War era. Now, right here, this caught my eye immediately when I was first watching the trailer, is that we get introduced to this new character right here, Nine, I think I would pronounce it. Right off the bat, once again, like Leo DiCaprio, there it is. Right here, on her chest for Nine, she's got this little pendant, or maybe that's molded into her outfit. I think it's some kind of necklace or something. There's a crest engraved here on her necklace here and that is the crest of Oben. Same crest as Yuri from the Ashen Wolves. But I haven't seen anyone else point that out, and I want to jump on that when I got here. And this is absolutely huge. And there is a lot to dissect, but there's only so much that I can even dive into with this. We get our look at the world map and where we will be playing out the main story. And there is... Whoo-wee! There is a lot. This reminds me a lot of the Shadows of Valentia map, with all like the places you can go, but also seeing, as you can like look here, there's a character standing on this part of the map and one up here. There's also some like chariot looking thing just above that. Maybe that'll be some kind of challenge, like keep wandering through the map like in Echoes, and once you get to a spot, it'll say, do you want to engage the enemy? This thing here can't move, and say yes and go fight them. Next thing, as everyone is covering, is the whole scene here of Leda walking up to this this chest and opening it in what looks like some kind of cave. I'm thinking this is confirmation that we're going to get more dungeon exploration again, like Fire Emblem Echoes, that we'll be able to go into certain dungeons and fight certain enemies, and that is what I would think is happening in this part here. I have no idea what LP would stand for and what that even means out of 100 in the midst of doing this cave exploration, or what the Rose Tempest average level 16 means either. This next part of the trailer is chock full of things to point out and speculate on. We get the introduction of this new character with blue braided hair, who to me looks a whole lot like Marianne. And perhaps considering this game is like 300 years in the future of Fodlan, maybe this character is her descendant. They reveal that her name is Ursula right here, which I think is kind of funny because that's not the kind of name I would expect. But I always think about Ursula from Fire Emblem 7. But overall, I think this is a very cool looking character. Her hair matches Marianne's to a T. What's also interesting is in her options here, they list storage. Unless she is getting that from the mage character on her left, I think that this means all units can access your convoy, essentially. And if that's the case, I would say I feel like that takes away a little bit of strategy I usually like in the game, because if you have someone that runs out of a healing item or a weapon mid-battle, you need to try and find a way to rush them over to the main lord, in this case Dietrich, try and have access to the convoy and grab something. So next up that I found really cool is we get to see that purple-haired character from the shot with Leda back in the trailer. His name is Sirocco, also wielding that purple magic gauge, and they reveal that he is a shaman. So that means we now have dark magic types back in the game again, and I'm very excited about that because I loved dark magic in the GBA games most of all. And of course, they show that all the main lords have a special move of their own, and the most important one I find that should be pointed out is Kai is here, because if you watch, they show the name of each of their special moves at the top here when they're doing them. But then they deliberately do it in a way to not show what the name of Kai's special move is. His whole Kamehameha or Hadoken. I want to bet that maybe whatever the name is of Kai's special move here is maybe not a spoiler, but reveals a big detail about his character and where the story could be going. What's also interesting is in this shot here, if you shift your focus from the path of purple destruction that he left behind, at the top left you can see a bunch of magic tiles on this raised platform. Not platform, just this raised up spot in the arena. You got some blue marks, purple marks, and a yellow one right in the center. As I think it'd probably be fair to suspect, they're all going to have some kind of special ability for when you stand on them and wait in game. Maybe the blue ones give you healing, maybe the purple ones raise the might of your magic attacks, and maybe the yellow one is a combination of both or does something completely separate. And of course, after that, we get the big part of the trailer that I have a hard time trying to decipher, but plenty of speculation on. We got Sothis again, and this helps with the confirmation that the game is a sequel, that she has grown up now. Because that was, I found to be the craziest part of trying to figure out where this game takes place, is that Sothis being an adult doesn't prove whether the game is a prequel or a sequel. It could literally be both, but now we have that confirmation. Of course, we have to wonder now, how is she here? We're 300 years in the future. she was a part of Byleth, but what happened to Byleth now? And I think the biggest problem comes in with all this stuff in regards to the story. The problem with all this is that Three Houses doesn't have a true ending. All the story routes are canon in their own right, like whatever you pick is your true route. But this game is supposed to take place 300 years in the future, so how is any of this even happening in a consistent way? Now, I guess a bit more with what we are shown here that I find interesting right off the bat is this new girl character who we can assume is the villain. All the more like fascinating is that she is holding a baby here. We don't know where we are, what this environment is, but she's got a baby. Whose? We don't know. I would also fumble a guess that this whole arch that we see getting built here out of like dark mush is the same thing we see right at the end of this shot here, that it folds up and meshes together to become this big portal that leads all these monsters out of the underworld. I do like seeing that there are giants now in this game. I think that is a really cool addition in terms of an enemy type, like a new boss type we'll face similar to like big monsters. We got giant ogre looking characters, or even like, I don't know, Nephilim or something like that. It's interesting that we see they're approaching this new character here at the front who she seems scared here. Maybe one of the villains, I don't know. She's about to fight one of the monsters until we get this dude out of the sky in a beam of light. Right when this trailer finished, they also showed on the direct the collector's edition for the game coming up and showed that there was an art book that you're going to get. It just so happened that it was flipped to a page that showed this character in white, and the character's name is Eshmel. So having that name reveal doesn't really help us figure out who this is. It just tells us who the character's name is. With the presence of Sothis in this game, that this could be the reincarnation of Byleth, because this character of light also appears on the front cover on the Fortune's Weave game case, and there is a female character on the front. Probably connected to Sothis, most obviously, and is most likely our avatar. This is where most of my breakdown stuff for the trailer is kind of going to come to an end, and I'm going to do a lot more talk on speculation and a lot more rambling on my thoughts and feelings, concerns, and things that are just going through my head about this game. The game takes place 300 years in the future of Three Houses, but Three Houses doesn't have a true ending. But the problem is, if Sothis is here, that decanonizes Black Eagles as a story route that this could have taken place from. But I also want to think that maybe the reason this game takes place so far in the future is so that the devs and the writers can ignore certain details and nuances to the game being a sequel. It's maybe won't be as narratively tied to Three Houses itself. On one hand, I think can be a good thing. It allows them more freedom to do things that they want. But on the other hand, I could also see that as a worry and a way for them to just ignore established lore in many different ways. And knowing how passionate fans are of this world and its history, it would really upset them if they do make a lot of creative decisions just because they want to and not because it fits. And I myself am one of those fans. I adore Three Houses and I love the universe of Fodlan so much. My one thing that I'm thinking about when I watch this whole trailer is that the game feels like it is taking a whole lot more inspiration and direction from Three Houses. And obviously, no dip, it's in the same universe, but I mean that in the sense of its gameplay. Because as much as I do love Three Houses, it isn't without its flaws. All the things you do that just aren't related to combat and the main story. It works for me well enough because it fits with the atmosphere of Three Houses, but my problem is with how much this game seems to be taking direct inspiration from it. I'm worried that because of the lack of success for Fire Emblem Engage, it told Intelligent Systems that they just can't do anything like that ever again, that they learned all the wrong lessons. For as much as I absolutely despise Engage, it was headed in the right direction in terms of its gameplay. It's everything else that it just fumbled the ball on. That game, it started off selling pretty strong, and people liked it for a little bit at the beginning there, sort of. It wasn't until we saw how hard the game fell off in terms of sales and relevance in the Fire Emblem fandom. Like, I can't even remember the last time anyone talked about that game. Well, it hasn't been in the common circle of discussion as much. Three Houses still holds so much more relevance than any other game in the series right now. Because Engage didn't succeed, it looks like this game is going to be saying, all right, the fans want more Three Houses. They want more monastery activities. They want more side activities like fishing and that kind of stuff. They want more training opportunities and all this stuff that we ultimately were getting tired of doing multiple playthroughs of, which could be a detriment if this game has 4 stories for everyone to play through. But of course, all that is just my speculation and conjecture based on what is being showed from this trailer. We still have like a couple months until this game comes out, and it's far too soon to judge every aspect of that and say that is just what it is. But despite all of that, I am still very excited about this game because it is the next entry in the Fire Emblem series, one of my favorite video game franchises of all time, and it goes back to one of my favorite universes in the whole game. Right now, I'm just excited to be a part of this journey with a new Fire Emblem game no matter what. Right now, we have got a new entry in 2 of my favorite game series of all time. We've got a new God of War on the way and a new Fire Emblem on the way, both of which are going back to my favorite universes of said series. The God of War is still, well, technically in the Norse realm, but somewhere else with Fae. And now in this game, we are still in the Three Houses universe, just on a different continent. I think I am probably more optimistic than pessimistic about this game, but I am certainly cautious about where things will be going. But you can most certainly count on me getting this game on day 1, maybe even one of the collector's editions if I can even get my hands on it, if it's not sold out too soon. I'm ready to see more, cautiously optimistic, and would love to hear what you guys think down in the comments below. Have you played any Fire Emblem games before? Are you interested in getting this game as your first? If you have, how do you like this as a sequel to Three Houses? Are you excited? Not excited? Just let me know. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.